So going to go live here now. Cool. So going to go live here now. Okay, so I'm now live on YouTube and live here in Zoom, and I assume people will be coming on momentarily. If not, that's okay. You can always catch the replay. Welcome. Let's have another one of these weekly talks about AI, about practical AI. There is so much going on in the AI space right now. Yeah, as if there wasn't before. But really, there's a whole bunch of new stuff that I want to talk about. And today we're going to focus on chatbots. But if you've been paying attention over the last week or so, it's been about GPTs coming out. Uh, Last week I did a master class on that. Feel free to go back and check that anywhere. So in a couple of different places, the usual suspects as far as where to find it. And really, it comes down to GPT is just a customized chat GPT, and chat GPT is literally just a chatbot. So you have a chatbot over this crazy amount of information, crazy amount of data that's all over the place, and it basically reads in from there. Second uploader, shut this down here so we don't get binged and bonged as emails come in. The other idea is that so you have this chat GPT side of things, but then you also have all these other chatbots that are coming out. And Microsoft this week really brought down to our level, going from the enterprise side down to solopreneur and small business level, their idea of a co-pilot. You're going to see a lot more of this over the next year or so, this year especially. And I don't know that it will necessarily be in Q1 that you'll start to see it take off, but probably Q2 and 3. The idea of a co-pilot, it's really, hey, can we put ChatGPT over everything we do? And you're going to start to see a lot of these chatbots and well, really the idea of a chatbot going from search-based, hey, generate this for me. Hey, what about this? Hey, find this. How do I do that? It's going to become more task-oriented. And I think that's where you're going to see some real power is as things become task-oriented. Because it's going to come down to do this thing for me. Find the pieces that you need, the steps that you need, the data that you need to bring it all together. So before I go into chatbots, I want to just mention, the title is This Ain't Your Mama's Chatbots. It's because chatbot, I think the word chatbot might start to go away in 2024. A chatbot has a certain connotation to it, right? It has a certain feel to it. It says, oh, I go to this website, there's a little widget that comes up and it says, how may I assist you today? And you have like 5 standard paths you can go down and you get some useful information out of it, but it's sort of only kind of useful and it feels old school. Those are what I'm going to call your mama's chatbots. Those are the older school, and those still exist, and those still have a little more power to them these days. And I think that they're useful. But you're going to start to see a change in how chatbots work, and a lot of that comes down to what we'll be talking about here today. So let me share my whiteboard. Whiteboard. So what we have here are 3 different types of chatbots. Just this here. Okay. The 3 different that you want to look at are data-based search or conversation chatbots, flow-based task-driven chatbots, and custom chatbots. Now they might all sound the same, but there's a really distinct difference, and this is really where the practical side comes in. The whole point of this conversation with you is to show you kind of what chatbots are doing these days so that you can make a decision for your business on how to make them practical. There's so many practical use cases, and I'm just going to put them together for you and show you a few. And really what they come down to are these 3 major pieces. So a data-based search or convo chatbot is kind of the mama's chatbot, right? That's you go someplace and you want to do search on what are your hours? What's this product like? Can you tell me more about this? Or can I talk to a customer service rep? It's data-based driven. Notice I didn't say database, one word, it's data-based. So a lot of these chatbots have underneath them a knowledge base. So when you're looking to put a chatbot into your website, there are a lot of chatbot providers, and even a place like Zapier is doing that. I'm just going to put this in here. So let's just do so your typical, WooCommerce or whatever. There's so many plugins that you can get that are available to put a chatbot on your website. Zapier has one that's coming out now, and they've been touting it this week. It's still, I think, parts of it, most of it's in beta, but it allows you to tie in somewhat task-oriented things, and it kind of has a flow to the chatbot. It's additional pricing. I don't have a ton of information yet on it, but I did see that basically they're trying to make everything that Zapier can do under the covers. And if you're not familiar with Zapier, you should take a look at it. It's great for solopreneurs and small business owners to do workflow automation, automate the tedious tasks. It's the idea of triggers and actions, right? So when I get a Facebook ad lead, drop it over into my Google spreadsheet, or throw it directly into my CRM, or send the person a text message back. There are all kinds of things that you can do when something happens, go do something else. Well, Zapier has created this chatbot over the top that you can put right into any website, and it allows you to do specific things in that kind of mechanism. So you converse with the person, and then a trigger happens from within the chat, which then can do something on Zapier's side. So you could say, hey, add a new calendar event for a meeting with Greg Howe next week on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Zapier then takes it as a trigger and runs its actions, its own workflow behind the scenes, does the thing, comes back and says, did it. And Zapier, for their free version, is pretty limited. It's just like Zapier's other stuff. It's somewhat limited on the free version. You put down $20 more a month, and it has a little more functionality to it. To go enterprise, it has even more. And you just have to kind of be careful, because you could end up spending quite a bit without getting a lot of use. So let me take a step back here, because I want to reiterate what I tend to talk about, which is the idea of having a plan first, which is really funny coming from me. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Greg Howe. I am the founder of Gimme Info, a data services company. I work at making data easy for people to get, easier than they have now. I work a lot with APIs, putting nice, easy wrappers over the top of them so you can get data from all over the place in a very consistent and easy manner. One of the other things I'm also working on is this whole AI side of things with chatbots and agents and copilots, because I believe that is really the data of the future. AI is going to be a layer over an immense amount of data, and it will even generate data, as you see these days. So that's what I'm about, is trying to bring all this stuff forward. And I never was a planner. Okay, so I've become a planner, and because it makes a lot of sense. And what I found is that for those of us who are small businesses, we tend to do a lot ourselves, as you'd expect, and we tend to want to dive into things ourselves. And so we take a lot more on than we need to. And what we have to do is stop playing with AI, stop trying to go, oh, there's chatbots. I don't want you to come out of this and go, oh, there's this kind of cool chatbot. Let me find a place for it. That's the wrong approach. I guarantee you will fail, or at least get frustrated, or it won't serve you. And you'll go, why did I spend all those hours trying to figure it out just to apply something that doesn't really do anything for me? You have to flip it. you have to look at your business first and go, where do I have a gap? Right. So if you've got a website and you would be like, oh, it'd be really great if people who came to my website could fill out a questionnaire instead of sending them to maybe a Google form and then they kind of drop off over there somewhere. If I keep them on the website and based on some of their feedback, I could get them to a particular page or provide page data or even training or whatever the case might be back to them right on that page without having to interact with them directly or have them wait for an email or whatever. Now you start building a use case for how you solve, here's a use case that I have. How do I solve that? And this chatbot becomes a great idea. So what I want you to do is to look at this conversation today as a way to see what chatbots are doing these days. Then take a step back, look at your business, and as you're going through things, you're going to go, oh, wait, Greg talked about that. That chatbot would actually work here. And then you can dig in deeper. Okay. The idea is not to sell you on chatbots here. It's to show you practical AI that you can use in your business, which may or may not apply to your particular business. But I want you to have the information at hand so that you can be AI enabled. That's what my program is all about. My one-on-one program is about becoming AI enabled. What that means is that you can look at your business and you can look at AI and know where they match, know where they work together. It's not about everything being AI, and it's not about, being a guru in AI. It is literally about when something comes up in my business, whether it's a gap or an opportunity, I know where AI fits. I know what's going on with AI, and you know how to apply it. So that's really what this is all about. Okay. So just sit back and relax and try to grasp what I'm saying about the differences in the chatbots. You have to turn your mind off of the Best Buy website, or anything like that where you've used a chatbot before. Come at it from this standpoint. And so what we're talking about first is that there's chatbots that mostly are around search, like ChatGPT. Talk to me about this formula, this math formula. Tell me about this galaxy. It's sort of like Google search on steroids. In some ways, people are using it for search, right? Or conversational. I'd like to have somebody come to my website and start a conversation with me, and I can guide them either to the right product or provide them with information back that will solve their problem. And I don't know exactly what they're going to ask for, but I have this wealth of data. I might have, if you're a life coach, you could have a whole bunch of PDFs that deal with, self-esteem and financial and whatever other issues people come into that's on your line of business. You could have these free PDFs that lie underneath and put a chatbot over the top of them. And that's search-based, conversational-based chatbots. A custom GPT, I want to put that down here too. A GPT that you build around your niche is exactly like that, right? So there's data underneath the idea of a chatbot. That's the first one. The second one is a flow-based, task-driven chatbot. So let's go from the back to the front. It's a chatbot, still the same as what you were just looking at. But being task-driven means that you have something in mind for them. The person who's using it is trying to either get at something specific or get something specific done. So the chatbot's role is to help accommodate that task being accomplished. It's not, hey, ask me anything. It's, let's guide you through this task. And a lot of times the chatbot initiates the conversation. I use one of these when I'm dealing with creating AI blueprints for people. I have them go right now to a Google form and fill out, answer these questions. And it's a couple pages of, the typical questions, what you know about AI, what are you using, what are your goals and dreams in your business, blah, blah, blah. That could be handled conversationally through a chatbot. So I'm actually building one now that allows you to answer those same questions through a chatbot. That's task driven though, because I'm telling them, hey, I'm asking them, hey, can you give me more information? Hey, that sounds good, Greg. Can you tell me more about your business? You get more and more information. It's this back and forth conversation that's happening. And then that task is being accomplished over the course of a conversation. If they start asking about, the Big Dipper, you say, hey, That's cool. I like the Big Dipper too. Let's tell me more about your business. It's that redirection that comes in. The one that I like to use for this right now, and again, I'm only promoting this product because I use it, and I will only promote products that I use, by the way. There are others, and they're probably equally as good. So I'm not saying you have to have this product, but I'd like to share my screen on this and show you what I mean by one of these flows. This is an actual one of mine. Okay. Is that sharing it? I have no idea. Let me see. Screen two. Share. There we go. Okay. So it's really pulled far out. But what I want you to recognize this is that you can see different colors, different blocks, lines that connect things. This is a flow. It's clear, it's obvious. There's a flow going on here. What this actually is you have a starting point and you have some text that goes through the chatbot. That's the sort of startup text. And then it drops into a flow where the user chooses certain things and goes along a path until they get to the end of the task. Now, in this case, this is a kind of fun one that I put together with a guy who does fantasy football. And it asks them, well, who do you want to look at in fantasy football? The user fills in the person's name. We go look for that person down in a database, get the information on that person, and bring it back. So the way we accomplish that, I'll zoom in here because this is where you want to see it. Notice that right here, we say, which player would you like? We clear the selection out that they may have chosen before, and we capture their user reply to a variable called last utterance. Okay, so you start to see variables and diagrams and gets and clearing. And so you start to feel a little more codish, okay? That's okay. What you want to understand is that there are certain things that, like the introductory Zapier-based or the standard 5-answer kind of chatbots are easy. They're beginner level. Now, I'm going to show you this intermediate level, and then I'll go into an advanced level as well. And I don't want you to think beginner, intermediate, advanced means good, better, best. Okay? What we're talking about is simply how much coding effort it takes to get the job done. Your standard search-based stuff is easy because you either are using something like ChatGPT that has that wealth of data already underneath it, or you're uploading PDFs or spreadsheets and you have control over it. It's a small amount, or maybe it's not a small amount, but it's an easy amount of data to kind of understand. And you pop it in there just like you would upload a file to any place, and then the chatbot just works against it. So it's easy, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily the best for your given situation. In this case, where I'm talking about fantasy football, that didn't make sense for us to just drop spreadsheet into that. We did look at that avenue, but it didn't produce the results we wanted. So we went and made this. So from this, you notice that there's a get. Okay, so here's standard text, and then there's a get, and it goes out to api.gimme.io. Well, that's my stuff. I have an API that goes against fantasy football data. It's fantastic. It's easy. It's so easy to put this, something like this, into a chatbot. We say, hey, go call this thing, fill in the person's name that they're looking for. Here's some geeky header stuff. And then when you get the results back, put those pieces into variables. So there's a little bit of thought there, a little bit of coding, but it's actually not too bad. And I don't want you to think that it's something that you can't do. It just takes a little thought, and it takes, throwing an idea by me and just be like, how do I read that data? I get that data from Bloomberg. I get that data from the Weather Channel. I get that data from whatever. It's like wherever you're pulling the data from, there's a certain format that it sits in. And you just have to know how these types of things, these diagrams, can look at it. And then you notice it says, once we get it, if the player's not found, you're going to do one thing. If you get multiple matches for the player name, you're going to do something else. If you found them, but there's no data in the database, then you go this way. Otherwise, everybody else goes on to the next step, which actually goes to a Chat GPT prompt. So what I want you to notice is on this, that when you looked at it at the start, there were diagrams and there was places to go and there was stuff happening, but it really wasn't necessarily AI based. It's a chatbot. It's diagram based. At this point in this chatbot, it goes to Chat GPT. And the nice thing with VoiceFlow is you can specify which model you're going to use. So if I go to the prompt settings, I can specify right now it says GPT 3.5 Turbo, but I could specify a lot of different things. And they have different costs associated with them. So anyway, that's what I wanted you to see there. So, and again, I'm not going to go into the depth of that diagram, but I want you to see that, oh, wait a minute, there's ways I can do a specified flow and keep them on track, and then bring in AI when I want specific answers. So you can have like the text that says, "Hey, welcome to my chatbot," is actually, I used AI to generate like 5 different ways of saying, "Hey, welcome to my chatbot." Sometimes it's like, "Hi, welcome aboard," whatever. It's like you can use AI to generate different pieces of your chatbot. So let's go back to the whiteboard here. And so that's VoiceFlow, and that's a flow-based, task-driven chatbot. The idea is on that chatbot that you take someone's input, you say whether you're looking at one player or a comparison between 2 players, run it through the AI and the data and all that other stuff to come up with one result. And the result is either tell me about this one person or tell me about the comparison between those 2 people. It's a specific task that you've guided them through. I think there's a lot of power in that for businesses. And I want you to start thinking along this route is just, what are the things that I could accomplish for my user, with my user, without me being there? That chatbot of the fantasy football player thing had dozens of people just in our little beta that we were doing, using it consistently, hitting it every single weekend and getting great results out of it. It worked, and it didn't involve me or Mikey, the guy who's heading it, to take charge of it and work with people directly, just produce good results. So now you get into a custom chatbot. That's the third one. The idea in a custom chatbot is it really can be whatever you want it to be. So the data-based search convo is easy. It's driven by data. The flow-based is intermediate, needs a little bit of thought, a little bit of code, or at least a little bit of understanding of how these things connect. And then the custom chatbot is pretty much code-based. So there are a lot of different pretty geeky solutions that are, you can build your own chatbot over anything you want. The data that sits underneath a chatbot is called a model. It's a language model. Okay, that's the whole AI thing. That's the whole GPT, Chat GPT thing. They talk about models. The model is how data relates to each other in a way that can produce natural language results. It can read natural language, and then it can do a transform of that into the geek world, get the answer, and then transform it back through to English or whatever language you are, or to an image or whatever. The custom chatbot is much more detailed, expensive, but on the flip side can be much more powerful. And a lot of people will lead you that way. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I can build you a chatbot from scratch. I can use this model or that model or this model or that model. We can do this, we can do this, we can do this." And that's great. But I want you to really only go that route if you have a very tight niche with a very specific set of data that you want to work from, and these other 2 options don't suit you. Okay? I have somebody that I have a lot of respect for, that I've been working with a bit, and they're working in the lab area, right? And so ChatGPT and the GPT model and all that isn't really geared towards medical or really scientific information. So what people have done have made their own models that deal with specific subsets. There are over 300,000, 300,000 different models. And that was back a couple months ago. I wouldn't doubt it's closer to 400,000 or 500,000 now. People are trying to create niche-based models to give to you to do specific things on top of it. They figure if we can, they say, hey, if I can come up with a model that can give you the language, can understand your language, and then return it back to you in your language, meaning the scientific language, the geek side, the really in-depth side, then great, I've served your needs. And so you get these very small, usually very small, very tight models that you can put a chatbot over the top of. And those chatbots are usually very standard as far as the look goes and the connectivity to a model. But then it's wide open. You have to figure out how to code it. And a lot of times those are more search-based as well. But these are things that I don't want to say don't do it. Everything has its place. Again, you don't want to start from, well, I want a custom chatbot when you don't have a use for it. You start from your business. And that's like I was saying, the person that I know that does lab work, she starts from her business and says, I have a need. I have a need to be able to look at this data this way. And I'd like AI to be part of it. And so now you come at it from what's my gap or my opportunity and what makes sense to fill that. And this chatbot idea is a great one. So we could talk about that and figure out which LLMs would make sense to work with her stuff. So I hope that kind of clears that up a little bit for you. Is in the custom chatbot, notice I've kind of glossed over certain aspects of it. There's some really fun, if you're a developer, if you're more developer oriented, or you have some chops maybe in Python or other kind of programming languages, JavaScript based, whatever you might have, if you have some chops there, definitely consider the custom side, because what they've provided nowadays are pretty straightforward and pretty easy to get your chatbot built. I was able to build a chatbot in no time, and they have these awesome playgrounds you can, plug and play different models in. You download the models locally and you're running them off your own machine. It's fun for someone like me. It really, there's so much power to it. But on a practical side, it's only practical to me, right? So if I can't solve your need on your business in the first two types of chatbots, then certainly I'll build a custom one for you. We can craft whatever it is that you need. But that's the thing, is for you and your business, again, coming at it from the need that you might have, you just have to look at it and say, I think I need some custom work. And it can be me or anybody else who can do the custom work. And then you have to plan it out like you would any software project. Explain the need, explain what you're looking for, and then you're going to have to work a little harder than you would with a regular software project, because you have to figure out which model makes sense to use. Where do you want to go? How should it work? Give the parameters around things. Some of the models, even though there's, over 300,000 of them, some of them are awfully slow and the results are awfully bad. It's just early. Okay. So as you're looking at some of this stuff, understand that it takes a lot of testing, even with these good chatbots. You've seen it in ChatGPT where it sometimes hallucinates or it comes up with an answer that's a little bit wonky. That's the norm. And those are the best. Those are the ones that have a whole team of people, very, very smart, well-paid people working in those models on a day-to-day basis. So some of these other ones that are like one or two people in an office or a garage somewhere building an LLM, the results are going to be lacking. But that's the nature of the beast right now. So that's chatbots. And really what I want you to think about with chatbots, as we talked about, is they're one part of a larger thing that's coming out about agents and GPTs and copilots. The idea is to have AI under the covers, providing information or task completion to you without having to specify a strict path. And the nice thing about VoiceFlow, that product, when you saw the diagram, is it's based on typing in an answer, but it also has voice things. So someone can speak an answer and you can speak the result back to them. So there's a whole voice side of it, which I think is really where we're going to start seeing a lot in 2024. But I hope that kind of opened your eyes a bit and gave you something to think about, maybe blew your mind a little bit. I'd love to hear more about where you're going with chatbots, what you think about chatbots, if they're as exciting to you as they have been to me. I'm here for you. I want to build stuff with you, for you. And really, that's what it's all about. Close this whiteboard. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this short little talk on chatbots. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking about a couple of different things. We'll go more into the GPTs and data. We'll get into some of the depth there. We'll start talking about copilots a bit. Like I said, Microsoft's done some more stuff with copilots lately. Mixed results so far, but it's coming, right? And you want to stay on top of that stuff. One more last thing, the end of this month, I will be putting on a workshop that will be a paid workshop, I think. It may not be, but I'm leaning towards it being paid because it's going to be very in-depth, helping you build out your own GPT. And we'll go into the depth of data and APIs and all the things that you can create and make it so that you're ready to, put it out there in the wild and bring it to people, or bring it internally for your own staff.